The Calliope -7 drifted silently, its pastel hull cheerful against the void until the magnetic clamps bit. A Krevtak boarding shuttle slammed onto the airlock. 30 slavers flooded the corridor, weapons raised.
This is Captain Vrax of the Krevtak Guild. Surrender your vessel, or we take it by force.
Teacher Christopher Hale touched the comm panel. His reply came before the echo died. Level, unhurried.
We surrender. The ship is yours. Just, please, don't frighten the children.
Children. Is that your only defense, human? Pathetic.
In the classroom bay, 84 students sat in orderly rows. Not one cried, not one moved. 12-year-old Maya Lin caught Leo Tanner's eye. Her lips formed a single silent word. Wait. On the bridge, Vrax bound Hale to a support strut, chuckling at the weak, limp resistance. But the ship's corridors had fallen too quiet, the kind of stillness that even a slaver should fear. Vrax gestured to his second. Sweep the ship, find me something worth taking, or someone worth breaking. Slavers fanned through the corridors. One by one, their reports crackled back. No resistance, no panic, just children sitting.
Has your species bred the fear out of its young, teacher? Or do they simply not understand what we are?
They understand perfectly. That's why I asked you not to frighten them.
One slaver paused. The hallway stretched empty, but the silence pressed against his tympanums like a held breath. In the classroom, Maya's dark eyes tracked the door. Behind them, something coiled, patient, older than her years.
They think we're helpless because we're small. They've never seen a belt crush drill.
Another slaver checked a storage closet. It was empty. The whole ship felt like a classroom, after hours. Everything in its place, and wrong.
Enough. Bring me one of the children. Let's see how quiet they stay with a blade at the throat.
Heavy boots thudded down the corridor toward the classroom. Inside, 84 pairs of eyes shifted in unison, but no one moved. The door slid open, and a Krevtak slaver filled the frame with armored muscle, and a grin. He ignored the rows of small faces, his clawed hand clamping onto Maya's shoulder like a vice.
Crisis Scenario 7. Hostile close contact. Neutralize threat without vocalization.
In the 0G creches of the belt, children learned to fight before they learned to spell. Her fingers found the pressure point beneath the slaver's wrist joint, and she pressed. The Krevtak's weapon spun from nerveless claws, landing on the carpet with a whisper before he could gasp. She pivoted, her elbow driving into the nerve cluster behind his ear.
Phase 1, complete. No noise. She's fast.
The classroom became a silent machine. 83 more children rose, each moving to a practice station. The first slaver lay crumpled by the story time mat, his comm unit already dismantled by 4th graders. Maya and Leo slipped into the corridor, hand signals flashing like a secret language. Leo's fingers curled into the sign for vent approach. 3 targets across the hall. A nod. Belt-born children learned to move where gravity didn't hold them. The ceiling was as solid as the floor. A 9-year-old dropped from an overhead duct, limbs wrapping around a slaver's neck in utter silence before the body hit the deck. 3 sets of small hands had already stripped the weapon to components. In the next junction, 2 more slavers were caught in a crossfire of precise, debilitating strikes. The intercom stayed dead. The toddler bay door stayed shut. The only sound was the ship's ambient hum. A slaver patrolling the starboard dormitory called for his squad. Static answered. His pace quickened.
Vrax tapped the armrest, irritation blooming. Report. Why has no one brought me a child yet?
By the time the first alarm should have sounded, 15 slavers were unconscious and neatly zip-tied in storage compartments. Vrax keyed his comms, demanding status, static. It was the wrong kind of quiet, the kind where someone had swallowed the answers.
There are 30 heavily armed soldiers on a ship full of infants. Why is no one answering?
On the other side of the bulkhead, a 12-year-old girl silently zip-tied the crew's weapons and stripped their targeting chips.
This isn't right. Even children should scream. Something is hunting us.
The ship's schematics flickered on the tactical screen. 4 slaver signals offline. Then 6. Then 8.
Locate every missing comm unit. Now, I want answers, not silence.
In the corridor, Maya signaled to Leo 2 more slavers near the rec room. Children flowed past like water, finding cracks. They moved in teams, 1 to distract, 1 to disable, 1 to drag. Silence was their shared language.
They're not panicking. They're not even breathing hard. They're moving with purpose.
By the time Vrax slammed his fist on the console, 20 slavers had simply vanished from the monitors. The bridge was shrinking. A slaver rounding the rec room corner caught a glimpse of small sneakers before a knee struck his temple, and blackness swallowed the warning.
22. 22 of my soldiers have gone silent. This is not a ship. It's a trap.
He seized Hale by the collar and pressed a plasma pistol under the teacher's jaw.
Call them off. Order your little monsters to stand down, or I paint the console with your brain.
I can't. They're following Crisis Scenario 7. It's automated once initiated.
Automated? What does that mean? They're children.
Through the ship's intercom, a single chime echoed the signal. Every child froze, then redirected course toward the bridge.
It means I taught them well. Scenario 7. Neutralize hostiles silently. Protect tertiary zones. Toddler Bay.
Maya and Leo read the signs from a vent grate. Leo's fingers shaped a new plan. Vent drop, simultaneous from above. Vrax's finger trembled on the trigger. The bridge fell into that terrible stillness again. But this time, the silence was full of intent. Through a vent grate, the nap time sign glowed softly. One cry and the mission failed.
No sound. Not a footstep. Toddlers wake. We lose.
Leo's hand signaled. Vent drop on Vrax. Then guard lure left. They nodded once. Then Maya vanished into the duct's dark throat. She braced herself over the bridge ceiling grate, breathing so shallow it barely stirred the dust. Leo triggered a silent alert on his wristband, the vibration echoing down the hall. The guard's head snapped toward the sound. Maya's toes curled over the edge of the ceiling grate, every muscle coiled for the drop. They'd practiced this 100 times in lower G, but never with a teacher's life hanging on silence. Through the slats, she saw Vrax's grip tremble. Hale nodded once, almost imperceptibly, as if he knew. In the crib bay, a toddler's pacifier shifted. No other sound. Maya let go. Maya dropped like a silent thunderbolt, feet first through the bridge grate. Before Vrax could react, her heel drove into his collarbone. The plasma pistol clattered. The weapon bounced once. Then a small sneaker pinned it to the deck before it could fire. Behind her, Leo's stunner pressed against a guard's neck. The last bridge slaver dropped without a sound. Small hands restrained Vrax, zip-tying his 4 wrists before he could draw breath to scream. Another child, cut through Hale's restraints with a ceramic blade, her face utterly calm. He stood, rubbing his wrists, and surveyed the bridge. Children moving with practiced silence, tying up unconscious slavers. The tactical screen confirmed it. 30 hostile markers, all gray. 4 minutes, 23 seconds. Hale pressed the intercom, then keyed the secondary channel, the toddler bay. His eyes never left the monitor, from the speaker. Only the soft rhythm of breathing. The nap time sign still glowed. The ship was silent and safe. In the engine room, the last 2 slavers were pinned by a 3rd-grade squad, elbows to pressure points. Soft thuds, then silence. They joined the 28 others in the cargo bay, zip-tied and gagged like surplus cargo. Maya approached Hale, pride caught in her throat, her whisper barely carried.
4 minutes, Mr. Hale. 30 slavers. No casualties.
Hale glanced at the monitor showing the toddler bay. Not a single crib had stirred. In the cargo bay, 30 slavers lay like sleeping bags after a field trip, utterly still, utterly defeated.
Good work, but we're not done.
Elsewhere, Students had resumed their day. Some ate snacks in the cafeteria, tying shoes next to bound slavers.
Now, we need to prepare a formal complaint.
Confused glances passed between the students, but no one questioned him. Hale settled into the comm chair, pulling up the Krevtak Guild's emergency contact number.
Calliope, -7 to Krevtak Slavers Guild. We have detained 30 of your members. Please acknowledge.
After a long pause, a voice like grinding gears crackled through the speaker, filled with disbelief.
My name is Christopher Hale, Earth Unified Schools. I am filing an official complaint for violation of the Interstellar Education Protection Accords.
The voice sputtered, repeating the word school as if it had burned its tongue.
You boarded my ship, threatened my students, and caused emotional distress to minors. We demand compensation for therapy.
In the background, the cargo bay camera showed 30 slavers stacked neatly, zip-tied and helpless. Hale tapped a key, streaming the footage directly to the guild channel.
Evidence attached. I expect a formal response within one standard cycle.
The line went dead. On the bridge, the children exchanged glances. They had expected celebration, not legal filings. In a dim boardroom half a sector away, the Krevtak guildmaster replayed the transmission. 30 of his best slavers, bound by schoolchildren. Hale's calm voice cut through the silence. I've also noted the nap time sign in the footage, for context.
This was a violation of protected educational space. I have 84 students requiring psychological support.
A data stream appeared. Therapy cost projections, legal citations, public relations impact analysis. The guildmaster's aides murmured. This wasn't a ransom demand, it was a lawsuit with teeth.
I am prepared to release the footage to all civilized networks, including the toddlers, napping through your invasion.
The guildmaster's four-fingered hand crushed an armrest. What does he want? Hale's response was immediate. Full compensation, official apology, and a binding commitment to avoid school ships. The line hummed for 30 seconds. Then a new voice. Redier, we will. Review your complaint. Hale leaned back. In the cargo bay, Vrax struggled against his bonds, but no one was listening anymore. The guildmaster's reply came wrapped in venom. You dare threaten the guild? This will be your last voyage. Hale tapped the console, pulling up a broadcast preset to 17 major networks.
This preset goes live in 2 minutes. Choose a settlement or 30 slavers beaten by children at nap time, seen by all.
The line went silent. Hale could almost hear the guild's public relations machine grinding to a halt. When the guildmaster spoke again, the venom had drained. Name your figure, teacher.
The invoice is already filed. Therapy for 84 minors. Trauma counseling, plus a donation to our PE program.
The guildmaster's four-fingered hand unclenched. He was no longer deciding whether to pay, only how to survive the cost. Hale's tablet pinged with a draft settlement. Tentative, unsigned, but unmistakable.
The real lesson wasn't the takedown. It was what came after.
For the first time in centuries, the Krevtak Slavers Guild was apologizing to a schoolteacher. The credit transfer cleared in seconds. Therapy funding, trauma counseling, and a donation to PE. A formal apology followed, bearing the guild's seal and expressing deep regret for the incident.
Perhaps this will teach your people manners.
He ended the call. On the bridge, the children were silent, processing the bureaucratic victory. In the 0G gym, younger students resumed their drills, unaware of the galactic humiliation they had caused. Hale's tablet displayed the finalized complaint, a footnote, all subjects napping during resolution. Vrax, in the cargo bay, heard distant laughter from the gym. His fury was silent. The transfer notification glowed, a sum that could fund a fleet, reduced to a counseling invoice. Hale saved the apology letter to the permanent records, then dismissed the class. He turned to Maya and Leo. You did well. Now go eat lunch. 3 days later, a Luna news anchor broke the story live. Terran schoolchildren reportedly subdued a slaver boarding party. The footage rolled. 30 slavers zip-tied, toddlers napping, a calm teacher filing paperwork. The anchor could barely suppress a smile. Sources confirm the Krevtak Guild issued a formal apology and compensation. Across the system, parents laughed at the bulletin. Slavers beaten by nap time became an instant meme. The Krevtak Guild headquarters stood dark and silent. Their comms lines were jammed with mocking calls from rival syndicates. The guildmaster hurled a datapad against the wall. One schoolteacher has undone 3 generations of fear. Other slaver guilds released statements distancing themselves from the Krevtak, fearing association with the humiliation. On the Calliope -7, Hale watched the broadcasts with a cup of coffee, as if grading a particularly satisfying essay. The guild's stock value plummeted. Fear was their currency, and now they were bankrupt. Across the sector, slaver activity paused, not yet dropped, but hesitant. The legend of the school ship was only beginning. In the weeks following, shipping lanes reported a sharp decline in slaver raids, first 30%, then half. Hale received daily updates, Krevtak operations plummeting. He merely nodded as if expecting the curve. The guildmaster was summoned before the slavers' concordat, his voice hoarse, his once untouchable authority crumbling. A rival guild released a statement. The Krevtak are unsound for business. Joint contracts froze. Thank you notes arrived on the Calliope -7 from tiny colonist communities along the route. The school ship's pastel hull became a deterrent. Slavers avoided any vessel with school markings. Children still took turns guarding the engine room, a new PE credit earned in silence. Hale compiled the final numbers. The decline was historic, but he held the statistic close. A Luna news anchor teased an upcoming special. Unprecedented decline in slaver activity. Details at 10. The sector held its breath. Something had fundamentally changed, and everyone knew it. 1 year later, Christopher Hale stood before a new class on Luna, the bulletin board behind him pinned with a now famous headline.
94%. That's the confirmed decline in slaver activity across the sector since the Calliope -7 incident.
The number rippled through the room, then across feeds, holograms, and whispered conversations in spacer bars. The Luna Anchor's special finally aired. How a school ship taught the galaxy a lesson it won't forget. The incident became a mandatory case study in Earth-unified schools across all colonies, on the actual ship. Now a floating memorial to the lesson, children still took turns guarding the engine room. Hale never spoke to the press. He preferred the quiet after a lesson well learned.
They wouldn't need fear. Preparation was enough.
Other guilds sent envoys, requesting Hale speak at their academies. He declined each invitation with the same polite note. The galaxy had changed, but Hale was content to let the silence speak for itself. 6 months after the broadcast, a formal communiqué arrived from the Krevtak Guild, requesting a meeting to normalize relations.
They're terrified of becoming a historical footnote. I am afraid my teaching schedule is full for the foreseeable future. Best wishes to the Guild.
He sent the reply before lunch. By dinner time, the message had been forwarded to every slaver syndicate in the sector. The guildmaster did not respond. His private quarters were reportedly silent for 3 days. Other species cited the Calliope -7 incident as precedent when denying Krevtak trade licenses. The guild shrank. Rival guilds absorbed their contracts. The Krevtak name became a cautionary punchline in spacer bars. Hale welcomed a new intake of belt-born students. Their eyes already held that specific stillness he'd come to trust. A child asked if pirates still existed. Hale replied, "A few, but they've learned to read the hull markings." The Calliope -7 had retired, but the lesson was alive. Silence, it turned out, was the loudest answer of all. The Calliope -7 drifted to its final berth above Luna, its engines cold for the first time in 30 years. The Earth Unified Schools Board unanimously voted to preserve it as a memorial classroom, open to all. Its curriculum, Crisis Management 7, became mandatory across every colony school in the system. Hale was invited to speak at the official launch. He sent a short recording instead.
The lesson isn't in the fighting. It's in the silence before, and the paperwork after.
The auditorium fell silent. Some educators took notes. Most simply understood, the retired Calliope -7 became a pilgrimage site. Children traced the nap time sign with quiet reverence. Zero-G gym drills were no longer a curiosity. They were a rite of passage for every belt-born child. Hale watched a new class from his window, their laughter carrying on the recycled air. The plaque outside read, Calliope -7, where silence won. It wasn't a boast, it was a warning. Two teenagers stood before the Calliope -7 memorial, no longer children, but still carrying that specific stillness.
4 minutes. It felt like a heartbeat then. Now it feels like a lifetime ago.
I still remember the hand signals, the vent drop, the silence before it all began.
Neither spoke aloud. The lesson wasn't in words. It was in what you did when the galaxy expected you to scream. Leo's fingers curled unconsciously into the sign for all clear, a reflex from a time when silence was their weapon.
We didn't just beat them. We taught them that children can be the silence before the storm.
Above them, the Calliope -7 drifted in its eternal orbit, a monument to the day silence spoke louder than any weapon. Maya and Leo stood there until the stars shifted. No one disturbed them. The silence was enough. The galaxy had learned to fear the quiet. Not the roar of engines, but the pause before a child moved, and the plaque on Luna would always remind them. Silence wasn't surrender. It was the first strike. Years later, Christopher Hale stood before a new class on Luna. The bulletin board streamed constant updates, slaver incidents at 6% of pre-incident levels.
This is the peace we built. Not with warships, but with a school ship and a nap schedule.
A boy in the front row raised his hand. His movements were economical, his eyes calm, a belt-born child. He asked the question every new student eventually asked, his voice steady. Mr. Hale, if pirates ever board us, what should we do? The room went still. Hale's smile deepened just slightly. He glanced at the board, then back at the boy. When he answered, his voice was quiet, as if sharing a secret. Outside the window, the memorial ship drifted, its pastel hull catching the sunlight. The answer was coming. But the silence beforehand was its own lesson. Then Hale spoke, his voice carrying the easy certainty of a teacher who had graded more crises than most.
Remember to be quiet. Toddlers nap from 1 to 3.
The class stared. The belt-born boy looked confused but somehow not surprised. A girl in the back whispered, "That's not a joke, is it?" Hale's only reply was to tap the laminated nap time sign, taped to the classroom door. The sign was old, slightly faded, but the words, "Nap time 1:03 p.m. still held their power. The boy's eyes widened slightly, the lesson settling into his bones like it had for 84 others. Outside, the memorial ship drifted. Inside, only the hum of recycled air and the echo of Hale's words. The children of the belt already knew the answer. The rest of the galaxy would learn, and if they ever forgot, a school teacher on Luna would kindly remind them, nap time is from 1 to 3. The Calliope -7 sailed on, a pastel ghost in the eternal black, its lessons carved into the hull of civilized space. Behind its airlock, the toddler bay remained as silent as it had been that day, a sanctuary of soft breaths. In the memorial classroom, holograms played the footage for new classes. 30 slavers, zip-tied, nap time sign glowing. And across the sector, in spacer bars and boardrooms, the story was told with a shudder. No one dared board a school ship again. Fear had a new face, a child's calm eyes. The nap time sign had become the most feared warning in known space. A teacher on Luna glanced at the clock, his smile barely visible. Christopher Hale never boasted. He simply checked the time, and if the hour sat between 1 and 3, he knew the galaxy was safe. Silence was the first strike, the last word, the lesson that echoed across the stars.